something about it, been waiting my whole life. Is this home? I can hear each sound calling my name, and I feel angels around when I start to sing, and suddenly it feels like heaven is so far away. Tell me, can you hear the symphony? Panic, panic, I can't help but think that it's meant to be, that I'm finally right where I'm supposed to. If I let you into the secret, would you listen? I can hear each sound calling my name, and I feel angels around when I start to sing, and suddenly it feels like heaven is so far away. Tell me, can you hear the symphony? Panic, And before too long, I found where I belong. I can hear it, oh, I can't stop the rush. Every note I touch, I can feel it saving me. Tell me, can you hear the symphony?
Hello, and welcome to episode 24 of Pixel Focus Podcast, where we provide insights and updates into the world of virtual photography. As we mentioned in the last episode, we are changing a bit on how we are presenting our episodes moving forward. Last week, we introduced a deep dive where we interviewed a prominent group within the VP community, and that group that time around was TPM, or the photo mode. Today, we're introducing Pixel Perspectives, which will be covering a particular topic that is relevant to the VP community. And today's topic is perspectives on virtual photography as an art form. Thanks everyone for listening to the show live or later, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm in Seven Specters, and with me co-host Sonoji. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing. I forgot to change my photo for my avatar, and now it's showing up weird on the video. Gosh, dang it. Okay, it's fine. I'm just gonna be kind of transparent for a little bit. That's okay. You
Well,
know,
we're all here about transparency, right?
that's a crazy statement. Crazy statement. Yeah, insights and updates on being transparent. We're gonna be talking about relationships today. No, I'm just
I did not sign up for this.
right. I don't think I could be a relationship counselor if I wanted to. I'd be way too impatient.
Just get over it.
Right. No, like stop being bad. Just get good at doing what you do.
Anyway, you're doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Yeah, our family had a small, I think it was a 24-hour bug that just went through the house, but we're much better and
Good.
live and kicking. So that's the important thing.
Good. And everybody is for the most part like over it or
Yeah.
okay, awesome.
Hmm.
Awesome. That's good. Glad to hear it.
Yep. All right. So we have
Great.
news. Is that correct?
Yes, we dear.
All
Thankfully
right.
we've actually had news for like the past episodes that we've been doing because not having news would kind of suck. I like this segment a lot.
All right.
But yeah, so we're gonna go get right into it. So first up, we do have news about TPM, as actually N7 mentioned them earlier. Fallen Leaf Studio, the creators of the game Fort Solis, made a post about TPM's or the photo mode interview with their game director on Twitter. So you guys can actually go ahead and check that out. It's really cool that they actually decided to mention that because you know, the whole VP moving forward and everything like that for a dev to actually showcase, hey, this happened. And, I'm not gonna say like others would be ashamed of it or something like that, but just the fact that they took the time out of their day to do so, that's really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty dope that they actually went out of their way to do that. So congratulations to the Photo Mode magazine for going ahead and having that done. Big ups to you, big ups. All right, and on to our next bit of news. One of our previous guests, Farid, has started a new hashtag, actually two new hashtags, for the game that is coming out called Flintlock Siege of Dawn. The hashtags are hashtag Flintlock Fridays and hashtag Flintlock VP. So if you are on Twitter, you can go ahead and use either of those hashtags, one of them being, as you could probably guess, specifically on Fridays.
No, I thought it
And
was on
post, yeah,
Tuesdays.
yeah, no, I mean, to be honest with you, bruh, I can see that. That's a fair assumption. But yeah, so you can go ahead and go send in any Flintlock VP that you do. There is a demo currently up for it. It does have its own photo mode, so you can go ahead and do that. The game will be coming out, I do believe, very soon. Actually, it says in 6 days from when she posted that, which I believe was, let's say, yesterday. Yeah, she posted this yesterday. So, yep, you guys can either play the demo and start it up to get a few shots in, or you can actually go ahead and purchase it in about 6 days and take some shots then. And use this hashtag, both of these hashtags.
Now, this is the first time hearing about this game. Is it the demo free for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, or is this a specific platform?
Now, I do know that the demo is free uh on Steam. I do know that it's free on
Okay.
Steam. I
Right.
am not 1,000% sure if it's free on consoles. I haven't checked that yet.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess we could probably put some kind of disclaimer out if it's not on social, and we'll let everybody know.
There we go.
All right. So on to the next portion. We have something that I'm sure a lot of you guys have been taking a look at, the PMAs or the Photo Mode Awards. They have announced the finalists for this year. Big, big, big situation. I know that a lot of people have been wondering how this was going to go and everything like that, and a lot of you have sent in shots and everything trying to, you know, have the just courage to even put it out there and possibly win. But the finalists have been chosen. They do have a video up for that, and you guys can go check that out. There were a ton of awesome shots in there. Um, I mean, absolutely mind-blowing. A lot of the people that we've actually had on our show were chosen as finalists. So yeah, definitely take a look at that. And also to mention, one of the finalists is currently here with us today. That being
What?
our special guest. Yeah, bro. Our special guest.
No way.
Exactly, bro. He got in. He did his little thingy thing. So we're super excited for him for that. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest. Our guest is none other than the cop Philip. That's what I'm gonna call him. Call him the cop, not just cop Philip. I'm gonna call him the cop Philip. He's probably one of the feds. Anyway, so he is an official Wired Productions content creator. Outside of VP, he does study and is a creator within film, and he dabbles in IRL photography as well. He also won the Ubisoft Photo Mode competition this year as first place prize reward winner, and he was featured in their video for Ubisoft Forward during their event, where they showcased him visiting the studio in Montreal. So, without further ado, welcome, Philip.
Wait, I won the Ubisoft? What?
Bruh,
No,
Bruh.
I was in Montreal. Nah, sorry. What? Yeah,
No, you
hi.
forgot?
I'm not full of myself. Not at all. But yeah, hi. Thank you very much for having me.
Did you forget that you were there?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. It totally didn't take up like a good chunk of a week, right?
Yeah, it wasn't 2 weeks at all. No.
Yo, this man was there for a while.
Maybe. No, it wasn't. What?
But definitely congratulations on that, man, and congratulations also on being a finalist within the 2024 PMAs. You were awarded a finalist position for the nature category, correct?
That is correct. Thank you very much. I am fantastic.
Yes. Yes, you are. That's why you're here today. But anyway, we definitely love the fact that you are on with us today. Philip is actually a returning guest. He
Yep.
was on a previous episode some time ago, towards the early portion of Pixel Focus. So we're
Mhm.
definitely happy to have him on again. And without further ado as well, we are going to go ahead and get into our discussion, which is perspectives of VP as an art form. So, to start off, what is kind of a thought on how you see your art, Philip, when it comes to VP? What's your perspective on your own art, and what it portrays?
Well, tough to say because I don't really treat it as most people do. I think I am not as attached to my VP as
Okay.
others may be to theirs.
Hmm.
I've always treated it as a more of a hobby and like composition practice for my real world projects. So like in general, I would not consider it art. I think there are like certain good shots I've taken that might like kind of be on the border, maybe on a good day.
Okay.
But in general, I do not consider my shots art. No.
Would you
Well,
consider VP as a whole, though?
again, like that's VP is a medium. It's not like you can't just draw that because like I would consider film like as an artistic medium. I'm not saying that every
Sure.
single film that comes out is a piece of art, you know. I mean, and here I want to draw like a distinction between the two things I'm going to be talking about. So like fine art, the type of stuff you find in galleries, the type of stuff that gets written about and so on
Mhm.
and so forth, like gets debated. And
Right.
like visual art, which I do consider VP to be, which has a more like immediate effect, like you know, it's more in the moment because it's just the visual effect of the image.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. I do want to actually mention in the comments real quick. We the comments are switching so hard from like, "Woo, we love Philip" to "Boo this man, he's speaking nonsense" to 100% of his AC shots look like painting. Like, bruh, it is a mix
Make
right
up
now.
your mind.
Mhm.
So and it's funny because it's from like the same people who are like switching back and forth. So I'm not sure where that's going. But anyway, we are totally understanding of what you mean by that. I get it that you know, it being a medium versus an art in its own, right? In its own right.
Yeah, see,
So
like I'm gonna get controversial from the start. This is
okay,
also where I
hey,
think
let's get it.
people kind of like just reactionary say stuff like AI art isn't art. AI, if it is anything, it's a medium, it's a tool, right?
Mhm.
And like most of the production that it's used in, yeah, I'd say it's not art, but like
Okay,
that does not mean it cannot be used as a medium for art, I think.
okay, gotcha. So you
So
see
very
art as
controversial take.
yeah, I can understand how it would be. You see art more as a general thing that has kind of like subcategories.
Yeah, you just choose your medium as to how you want to express what you want to express.
Hmm.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
That doesn't mean that like those like people that just generate a bunch of images and post them on Twitter, and it's like almost always just inappropriate stuff.
Mm,
And I'm not saying that is art, and I'm not saying that most of the stuff that AI is used for is art. I don't think so, but I think it could be used in an artistic capacity as well.
gotcha.
I wrote an essay on this for uni, so I might translate
Mm.
it at some point and like post it somewhere. I don't know.
That
See,
would be cool.
see. Right, yeah. No, that would be actually really dope. You should post it like on Twitter.
Yeah, but then I'd have to buy blue and ew.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, buy it for a month. Right?
Or post a link to it.
Yeah, that's
On
better. I think.
Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Have it somewhere, but then make a post on your Twitter account saying, "Hey, read this." Easy.
And give Elon Musk your money as well. Get Twitter blue. We're not sponsoring, by the way. But no, totally understood. And actually, I kind of see it the same way. Just of it being more so a medium, like I said earlier, a subcategory, where it doesn't mean that, you can't view your virtual photography as art. You can't, we're not saying that you can't see it that way, but um in this particular discussion, we are mentioning that, there is another side to it and another viewpoint where it could be seen as more of a medium, as he said earlier, rather than just pure it being art itself. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I can elaborate on why I don't think it might necessarily fall into the art category.
okay.
Because
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
one of the things that we keep getting told at uni is to just not avoid formalism, but that formalism is passe. And I think that VP in its current form, as in the community, is very much a formalistic form of art. So we are mostly just concerned with the form, with how stuff looks,
Okay.
how, but not so much with the content of the images, And if there is content in the images, it's usually tied to the IP of like whatever game we're taking the photo in. It's not autonomous standalone content that we intentionally presented. It's just us presenting somebody else's content, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so basically it's a promotional item to a degree.
Well, yeah, to a degree, it could like also. I mean, it's fan art,
Yeah,
like that.
understood.
That's the closest thing I'd say.
Yeah, That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, it would definitely be where it's some of these things because of, like you said, it being tied to the IP. You you can't necessarily say. I think at one point, we had a discussion before, during, and with that, we had said like you couldn't put it up in an art gallery, right? Um, because it's not like, or at least not that you couldn't, but it may probably not be put in one due to the fact that it's like tied directly to, as you said, an IP. So that intellectual property would then make it to where it's like, well, it's not its own thing. Again, like you said, not autonomous. So you can't separate the two due to the fact that, like, let's say you made a Spider-Man photo and it's really, really good, but it's linked directly to Spider-Man. You have him all in the shot, right? Um,
Well, yeah, the enjoyment of the photo is oftentimes just purely based on the fact that we are aware of these certain IPs and we connect
right,
the images with them.
right,
It's not
right.
like a standalone and autonomous thing that like anybody who's never played the game or never heard of it like
Hmm.
could enjoy. But
Yeah,
also a big thing is that like I said, we are a purely formalistic type of art at the moment. We
hmm,
are concerned with the form, but not like the narrative and like yeah, narrative implications of the formalistic choices we make. So we make choices purely based on stuff looking good,
right.
not on conveying a certain thing. I mean, I'm not saying purely as in like it never comes into account, but
Hmm.
mostly what we do is just create a pretty image. And like the stuff you can see on screen from me, like basically all of it is very formalistic.
Hmm.
Yeah, we
Gotcha.
got a comment from Nash says, I appreciate the statement that not all VP is quote unquote art, just like not every charcoal smudge is quote unquote art. To put everything on the same level gives it all equal value, which simply isn't true.
Well,
Mm.
yeah, like this whole subjectivity thing often comes into play when we talk about what is and what isn't art. Like it's
Right.
always called subjective. And yeah, of course, the effect art has on people is always going to be subjective,
Of
but
course.
that doesn't mean there's like some objective criteria we can adhere to.
Yeah, honestly, because I think we actually mentioned that, I want to say with Shinobi, I believe, on an episode before, that there is an objectiveness to art as well.
Hmm.
Um, and there's certain things that you just kind of can't get past. I'm not gonna name any specifics just because I don't want people to, feel a certain type of way, but there are certain portions that come to whatever medium that you are using, where it's like that literally just is not where your eye can catch it, or your eye will understand what's going on, or whatever it may be. There are objective things for just a human to be able to have, those neurons firing whenever they view whatever it is that you're, putting out there. Um, so I would
Yeah, there
say,
are
yeah,
certain rules for sure, yeah, and like you
right,
can break them, that is fine, but I think a
yeah,
lot of the time most of us aren't aware of the rules and we
right,
break them and then we get upset over being called out on something.
hmm,
But there wasn't the intentionality. Like I oftentimes say, like especially to Aaron, so Falcon Swift, he's been on here as well.
right,
I tell him because like he asked me opinions on his shots and stuff, and I give him
hmm,
pointers. But I'm like, I just want your intentionality. What I like
hmm,
is fairly pointless if like then we'd all just take the same shots if everybody did what I like, you know.
right,
Uh, like if you intended something for like to be this certain way,
hmm,
if I didn't catch on, that's I mean, it's both your problem and my problem, but I just like the fact that there is this intentionality behind it.
right, yeah. Because if let's say, me or N7 are trying to take a picture like let's say in Valhalla, and we're trying to do this like very dark portrait or something like that that's supposed to give like a sorrowful feeling, right? That's what our intention is behind it, just like you said. If you can't grasp that, then obviously there was something again objectively that was missed, right? And I mean not
Yeah.
not everybody or like not you specifically being able to grasp that, but just like if, you know, the average person looking at it would not be able to understand that portion of your intentionality, there might be something there that you could improve on.
Yeah, you can address, but also like I'd just be happy to hear people well justify their choices.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
that too.
think with formalism, a lot of the time is there's a bunch of like arbitrary rules that we follow
Hmm.
that don't like. I mean, we just well, they're arbitrary, right? Like
Right.
it's not intentional. It's just followed for the sake of following it. And like I don't think people oftentimes could justify why they took a photo a certain way
Hmm.
other than it looked good, which again is fine. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with, I mean, nothing wrong with formalist art in terms of
Right.
like, but just know what your intention is. If you want like a fleeting image that's gonna
Hmm.
have a not that lasting effect, but it's gonna
Right.
look good, that is a perfectly legitimate way of doing it.
Hmm.
But like, if you want a more lasting approach to it and a more like thought
Impact.
provoking, yeah, and an
Yeah.
impactful image, then you have to consider these, well, certain formal decisions that go into making a photo.
Mm. Mm. That's true. That's true. And Nash did also mention that I'm gonna read these two comments from her. I keep coming back to the copyright IP topic again and again. Pencil manufacturers can't claim the rights of any art created using their materials, but it's not the same with VP. Okay. Yeah. So kind of just the understanding of like what again we own, which we spoke about with the fourth focus a few episodes back as well, Mick. So yeah, there's that part I guess that kind of goes into the I don't want to call that objectiveness, but just how the things within the IP are linked, as we said before. Um, that goes back into that. So yeah, and then she also said, yes, there are rules with art, just like every area of life. The better you know the rules, the better you'll be equipped to break them in strategic, beneficial ways. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. How do you feel about that, Philip?
Well, yeah, of course. Like knowing the rules is specifically, yeah, just so you know when you can break them and what
Right,
that breaking of the rules is gonna achieve. Because like
right,
not everybody is like Orson Welles who just rocked up to the set of Citizen Kane and like made one of the best films ever. Like
right.
without knowing, like you have to educate yourself on certain things.
Hmm.
And I think that's also an issue because we are so focused on the technical formal aspect that the content aspect, which is much harder to present to people in an understandable way, that is like factual. Like even in real life photography, most of the stuff you're gonna get on YouTube or something is um well, technical content on
Hmm.
how to compose stuff and like what a camera does, what a lens looks like,
Hmm.
what a certain setting does, but it's not the narrative implications, the content implications that like these certain techniques bring. And I think this is also something we have in VP as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking with actually that reminds me when we spoke with Kinkin, he was saying the same thing of when he got into Rockstar, he had mentioned, you know, going into the actual position of a capture artist requires knowledge on those things, right? Um, so just having that knowledge will kind of boost you being able to maybe not only understand what it is that you're actually taking a photo of and how you're taking your photo, but maybe even like you said earlier, a way that you can break the rules because you know the rules. How I mean, not that you can't break the rules without knowing them, but you'll be able to, as Nash said, do it in more strategic manners, you know?
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
intentional matters.
right, exactly. Yeah. So that'll allow you to again understand what it is that you're putting out there, what it is that you're portraying. Because the moment that you have that understanding and you can, with full well knowledge, put that into your photo, it's more than likely going to end up being received better as to what your intention is on the other end of the audience. At least that's
Well,
from my perspective.
literacy on both sides can just like
Yeah.
work wonders for like understanding images and thinking about it. There's also like a problem of like getting too boxed in by all this
Mhm.
stuff. Uh, but let's cross that bridge when we get there. Like
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think like discussion that comes from like discussing these certain rules and like
Hmm.
breaking them and like the intentionality of it and like what we are trying to achieve is gonna do wonders for like just moving VP forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually really excited to see that I do believe we actually have a lot of people in the community starting to kind of and when I say a lot, I mean in comparison to what we had before, maybe that are starting to educate themselves on these particular topics and starting to even, throw that out there for others so that they can be able to do the same. Um, I mean, that's part of why we're discussing it now. So, you know, um, with that being said, actually, are there any rules that you could kind of give us a little bit more insight on, just a couple things so that, people may be able to think about?
Sheesh, that's a tough question. See, because
Yeah, sure.
I'm not one of those community people that actually do stuff. I just scream
Yeah.
from my my pulpit and that's all. I'm like,
Like,
oh, it's
hey,
not art. Oh, boo, boo,
you
it's not
should do
good.
this. Oh
um,
man. But just like anything that maybe you have learned yourself that you may be able to express to those who are listening right now.
See, the problem is that I don't really view it as art. Like I said at the beginning,
Yeah.
I fully embrace the formalism. I just criticize others while doing the same. um, so I don't know if I have rules, but like maybe what I'd say is look for opportunities that could have meaning for somebody that does not understand or play that game, and that
Okay.
isn't just like aesthetic only. I mean, aesthetics are great. Like if
Right.
stuff looks pretty, that is very nice, yes, but
Hmm.
like conveying a certain message that somebody else couldn't come up with
Yeah.
or like wouldn't come up with, I think that's a big thing like that we could move into.
Okay. Okay. So kind of breaking the mold as to what's being currently posted and everything on socials right now, right?
Yeah, it's tough because people get inspired by what they see and they want to do
Right.
similar stuff, which like I get and it's fine as well, but that just kind of creates a circle.
Yeah.
There's no like trying new stuff.
Yeah.
And I think like you do try new stuff with like all the Spider-Man effects that you do. And
Hmm.
like I think more people like we just need to move out of our comfort zones. Like me, like, completely applies to me because like look at my recent posts. It's all I mean, yeah, it's pretty stuff, but it's not
It's
like
very pretty.
you're gonna see it and you're gonna forget it by the end of the day. It's not gonna stay with you. It's not like promoting any message. It's not giving you food for thought or anything, or like
Mm,
it's not having like an emotional effect on you. Because I think those are the best types of images.
yeah. I mean, and I honestly believe it's kind of difficult to convey emotion like really, really well in a shot to the point where somebody would actually get emotional, like looking at it. Um, it's kind of it's not something that, at least, for me, comes very easily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like purely visually conveying emotion. I don't know. We've just become so desensitized to images in general. I think,
Hmm.
like you see so many like both awful and fantastic things that
Hmm.
you're just like kind of used to them. I think
Right.
music is like the most emotive of like the like three biggest art forms. I'd say. Like music, I think really evokes emotions, but like visually doing that, yeah, it's hard. But there's an image of mine of Eivor from Valhalla standing at the edge of the cliffs at Dover, and Sparbuck commented that like it made her feel sick, which is, I mean, not lovely, but it's good. It made her feel something, and I think like stuff like that evokes certain things is good. Like creates this, like where the image works towards a certain goal that is more than just the immediate aesthetic pleasure we gain from viewing the image, because that's like
Mm.
we are a community that is completely tied to social media, right?
Hmm.
And that is the way social media works. It's a fleeting thing. Like
Yeah.
somebody's gonna see the photo, they're gonna like it, they're gonna forget it in half a day. It's
Right.
just the way it is. It's incentivized. It's like promoted to do that sort of stuff. So it's
Hmm.
kind of hard to do this in social media. But yeah, I think we should try to move away from it. But again, it depends on your goals. Yeah, sorry.
No, no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, no, it definitely does depend on your goals. It should be where whatever it is that you want from, I guess, your virtual photography is how you should move forward. Yeah. And actually with that, just to ask you, what is it that you do want from it? What is it that your goal is in regards to moving forward with VP?
Well, yeah, like I said, I've always viewed it as composition practice in
Hmm.
large part because I do want to be a cinematographer.
Hmm.
And I do want to like create good IRL photos.
Right.
So that's a big part of it. Like has been since ever almost, because it is like it ties into my field of study. Um,
Hmm.
so that, but also I do want to break out of this like box that I've kind of like, put myself in. It's hard though, because like I said, it's incentivized. It gets likes. My Valhalla stuff that all looks the same, and it gets likes. It gives me followers and stuff, which is
Hmm.
also something I want, of course, because I want this to open doors for me. And like in this day and age, numbers are a big part of that, right?
Okay.
Um, so that's one thing, but also I'm finishing my bachelor degree now in new media art, and I would
Heyo.
like to
Congrats.
do a master's in new media art as well. And I would kind of want to do a project that is based around VP. So that's like kind of where I'm moving towards. I think that's like 2 years away or something.
Wow.
Um,
Awesome.
so that's sort of like pushing the envelope on my part, but I don't know if I'll actually create something worthwhile or if it's just gonna be something boring. We'll see.
Yeah. No,
Philip, I
I'm
do
sure
have a
it'll be fun.
question. Philip,
Yeah, go on.
you mentioned how a few times where when you take a picture, you forget about it after a few seconds. You go, oh, that's cool. You like, retweet, but then you forget about it. Do you think it is possible with VP to make a shot that's memorable?
Yeah, for sure. I have a couple of shots of mine that I really like. I didn't send them over because I'm an idiot, but I think like I always talk about this shot, but I do really like it. But again, this one is an uninformed gem because I didn't know what I was doing, I think.
Hmm.
But the Red Dead shot with John on the hill through the grass, I think that is a memorable shot that can be enjoyed by, well, anybody basically because it's not tied to anything. It just so happens to be taken in Red Dead, but it doesn't rely on Red Dead for its like importance, if that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, so basically that's kind of going towards what you meant as the what could be considered as fine art or on autonomous, right?
Yeah, exactly, because it stands alone regardless of the medium and the the IP.
Right, right. And I think that if I'm correct, you had we had discussed before prior to the show, and you had mentioned something about I want to say you said it was a group that brought VP to some art gallery or some show or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, that was like ages ago now in terms of
Hey.
like internet history. But like in the mid 2000s, I think it was
Hmm.
like 2005, 2006.
Hmm.
There was an artist duo that did um, well their first. They are credited as the first virtual photography project in an art gallery.
Mm.
They did a couple projects actually. They did a project in Second Life. That's a
Hmm.
blast from the past, where they um, exhibited portraits of people's avatars.
Right.
Um, but like, what the extra bit, the autonomous bit, like the thing that gives you food for thought, there was the fact that this was a portrait of basically somebody's auto portrait, right? A self
Okay.
portrait,
Yeah.
because it's an avatar that somebody created, and that's where like the interesting like turn in thinking happens. You know, that's where you get the meat of the content, if that makes sense. They also did like a Half-Life project where they did like some serene scenes between like all the shooting that happens in that game, which I
Hmm.
think has been like
Did you see the
replicated as a
shootings?
project. Hmm?
What? Wait, what kind of shootings are you talking about?
In Half-Life,
But you said shootings. You mean
all the shooting that happens, I said.
like with the guns?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. We don't promote violence, but not. Go ahead.
No, like because it's a shooter, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Half-Life
I get
is
you,
a
I get
shooter, and
you.
like they did serene scenes from Half-Life,
Hmm.
um, as like a juxtaposition to all the shooting that you have to do in the game.
Right, right, right.
Like these like moments of calm while there's an enemy coming at you,
Yeah.
like just out of frame. That was kind of the like content there.
Oh, okay, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and like this, I think has been kind of like replicated in like some of the Ubisoft projects that were part of the first Ubisoft contest.
Hmm.
Uh, but like it's been done, right? Like when I told you this, it's not like a revolutionary thought to have like a juxtaposition of
Right.
wow, violent game but pretty shots, you know.
Hmm.
Like this isn't revolutionary now, but like 20 years ago, nobody was doing this.
Right.
So yeah, they did a bunch of projects like that.
Yeah. And now you actually do see a lot of people do that kind of shot where, this game is incredibly violent, has a lot of, punching, kicking, screaming, shooting. Um, Real good example, but showing something else that's a bit more on the peaceful side. So like real good example, a lot of people do it in The Last of Us. Taking pictures of like the nature and everything like that versus zombies literally like, ripping people to shreds. So
Yeah, and it's become much easier because you just pause the game and there isn't gonna be a guy that's gonna come after you while
right,
you're shooting.
right. Yeah. So that allows people to kind of get into that area of what they can portray with their VP. Uh so that they can maybe think about that in the autonomous mindset. Um, so that way, they can maybe go and realize like, oh, this is what I've been doing the whole time. You know?
Yeah, but also like I think with these two projects in particular, it's obvious that these aren't autonomous.
Sure.
take their content directly from the fact that they are taken in games, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like removed from the context of games, but
Hmm.
like talking about the concept of games, talking about like certain different concepts in games, like they did, certain phenomena that happen. That's where
Hmm.
the content was, right? It's not autonomous, it's not separated from it, but it does
Sure.
provide commentary on something.
Mhm.
Mm.
We do have a question that I think is relevant to what we're discussing right now. Do you think the message you can communicate through VP is limited? If so, how do you work through that?
Um, It's limited as in there are limitations in games as to what you can shoot. Uh, but I don't think a message. I would never say that a message is limited because it just takes a creative person and that limit's going to be gone, you know?
Right.
So I think because it is inherently a creative thing, I don't think it's limited, no. I just think that the limits haven't been, like, the limits, like, quote unquote limits, haven't been explored. We haven't tried enough stuff yet.
Mm.
Do you have any ideas on what those, like, you're seeing like majority, but then you're like, okay, maybe we should be pushing into this area.
Or like any examples of VPs that you know are going into that too.
That's tough to say
Hmm.
because, I mean, because like I said, it is a social media based thing, so I
Right.
do kind of ingest VP as a social media based thing. I don't like, I do think about it, but I
Hmm.
don't think about it on like particular examples, if that makes sense. I'm
Okay.
sure there's people out there that exist that like do create standalone original content with
Hmm.
VP. I don't know if I could name anybody off the top of my head. Um, but as to where to move into as a community, I don't know. That's tough because I haven't explored the boundaries yet. I haven't
Right.
really tried so much different like approaches, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I
following
mean,
up with that, what's
okay.
preventing you from getting out of your comfort zone?
Mm.
I'm lazy. Um, and like I don't. I mean, I do my art projects in different mediums so far. Like I focus my artistic efforts on those mediums, so
Right.
film and like well, what I do at uni, right?
Hmm.
Um, while I focus, like I said, mostly on a formal aspect of VP and like formally and technically bettering myself. So that it's just my mindset going into it that is holding me back. You know, it's that my end goal hasn't been yet to push it into any artistic direction. It
Right.
has been purely formalistic for me.
Ah, okay. So because of that, do you think that kind of limits you from being able to go and step past those boundaries?
Well, I think yeah, it's just the fact that I've gotten used to it and that is how I do it. And like I don't put much thought into shots ahead of time. I don't go
Right.
into a game with a certain like end goal or end message that I want to convey.
Hmm.
I go into a game and shoot it so I get pretty photos that like they do convey like certain messages and stuff. I do try and make my images like speak to the narrative in the shot, if that makes sense, right? Like
Right.
bolstering the narrative, like boosting it. But it's not a narrative that's particularly thought provoking, if that makes sense. It's mostly fantasy landscapes and stuff like that that I
Okay.
do like. I do make formal decisions that I think work towards a feeling and like a narrative in the shot. I think like since we mentioned Flintlock, I think some of my Flintlock stuff has been very much has gone into that direction of conveying meaning through an image
Okay.
Like this, because I just took well, it's a war zone. That's what I took
Hmm.
images of. So that's where I did kind of try and really like make an image that speaks to somebody, like that conveys the message of what's going on, like the horrid war that's going on screen, right? Not just pretty, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and actually, in our current discussion, to bring this up too, do you think that maybe like because I know that you mentioned earlier with the Spider-Man shots that I had placed out there that are doing something different. Um, I edit those. So do you think that editing or maybe even a different type of virtual photography would allow for people to start breaking those boundaries? So maybe like the abstract category or starting to make their own edits that make it almost look autonomous, like these kind of heavier edits rather than just enhancing like, you know, lights and shadows and stuff like that. Do you think those, particular things might help to push it that way?
Well, yeah, anything that allows more creative freedom and like gives you the options to create what you intended, to
Okay.
create an image that conveys what you wanted. I think that's
Hmm.
always good. But also, limitations do usually breed creativity. So I think like
Yeah.
you can do it with or without. You're just gonna get different results.
So you believe probably like maybe the categories of like minimalism and abstract might kind of push that and be like the forerunners.
Yeah, but I struggle with both abstract and minimalism because,
Hmm.
especially abstract, that is like very formalistic, like inherently formalistic. It's
Okay.
only concerned with the form
Right.
because it's not tied to anything, but like it's abstract, right? We don't understand it as something we've seen before,
Hmm.
which is, I mean, it's hard to like pin that down really.
Right.
Because like I'd say it's purely formalistic and that it has to be done a certain way to like convey a narrative. But
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe you can't convey narratives through abstract.
And as for minimalism?
I think minimalism has better like predispositions for narrative stuff, like for content. But I
Hmm.
do think a lot of the time it's also just formalistic. I mean, it looks nice, but you know.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. And also, Turret did say you nailed those flintlock shots, by the way.
Yes, I am very talented. Thank you for noticing.
This guy. Oh man. But yeah, well, we are getting towards the nitty-gritty end. Were there any final thoughts that you had in regards to the episode? What you think about, coming on to the show more than once? If you hate us, if you want to get paid, which we
I could
probably
never
won't.
hate N7.
It's yo.
I think just like one thing to put a pin in is also like the difference between art and content. I
Sure.
think that's also a thing that we can discuss at a certain point because we didn't really touch upon it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a very interesting conversation to have, especially in VP. So maybe we should do that at some point. I'm not like saying, "Oh, please have me on again, please," but like you know,
Well,
just
just to let you know, if you got time after
yeah,
the
maybe like you
show,
know, I'm
we
available. You
could,
know,
yeah, we could after the show talk a little bit more in depth about it, and then we got a little something coming down the pipe later on. Don't take that weird. Um, that
uh,
we
you had
could,
Chipotle or something.
that's not what I meant, but we can go ahead and let y'all know we got a little bit of a plan in the works where we gonna have you guys being able to see some content that you may not have seen before from our shows. So we might be able to discuss that a little bit during that.
Hmm.
But yeah. Okay. And Seven, do you have any final thoughts, sir?
Not really. I do want to sort of do a more of a PSA. Pixel Focus, since we've hit the 24 episodes mark, which again feels like yesterday we started episode 1.
Yeah, right.
It's weird looking 24, and I'm not comprehending that number quite yet.
24
But
is
it's
so
definitely a
much.
huge milestone, and because of that milestone, we want to hear from you, the viewers slash listeners, and I want to get your feedback. So we, the Pixel Focus team, has created feedback forum. So we'll be probably tweeting it out or something. But if you can fill that out, we want to hear your feedback, because what do you want to see in the future? Things that we can improve on. Because again, we don't know if like if you're like, oh, we need to. I like this idea. You need to keep on doing that. That's a way of getting us feedback. And as I mentioned, in the beginning, we are sort of moving into a more organized way of putting our episode forward. So it's a little bit easier to find, because there are going to be some things we're going to be moving forward. There are going to be some changes, and be ready for those. Yeah.
Yeah, exciting. Yeah, we gotta have y'all answer this little survey for us and let us know if you hate us. Nah. We just want you guys to go ahead and answer that survey. We're gonna put it out on our socials and everything like that too, so that you guys can go ahead, let us know how you think we're doing. Like N7 said, just giving us some other feedback. You again. It will say on the survey, by the way, your name. It also says it's not required. So just in case anybody sees that and immediately freaks out, please don't. It is not required. You don't have to put your name.
Yep.
But yeah, so definitely be on the lookout for that survey and everything. And honestly, we are at 1 minute or one, not Jesus Christ, 1 minute. Good Lord. 1:59 p.m. EST, which means we are pretty much at the end of our show. So, with everybody having given their final thoughts, other than myself, I do want to go ahead and say thank you, Philip, for coming on to our show. Could you let everybody know where they can find you at in regards to your socials?
I'm gonna assume that was aimed at me.
Yes, that was aimed at
where
the
can
guys
people
that named
find
Philip.
you? Where can people
Yeah, okay,
find you?
cool. I'm on Twitter at COP_Philip with an F, so FILIP, as you can see on the screen. You can find me under that as well on Instagram. And if you add a VP, I have 2 separate accounts because I'm special like that. And also, if you just want to see my photos, I'm also on Flickr, but I couldn't tell you what my tag is there.
Oh, so you're lacking.
Maybe.
Slacker. Got it. It's okay. I am too. We all be slacking out here.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Neck muscle workouts?
Yeah, actually, that's exactly. I'm really glad that you brought that up because I know the rest of you are slacking on that. See, that's what I'm talking about. The people here know what's up. Philip and Seven, they both immediately knew where that was pointed to. Want to know why? Because if there's anything we don't slack on, is them neck workouts, boy. And you shouldn't be either. Get it up. Not like that. Don't take that in a weird way. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, thank you very much. This has been Pixel Focus. We love you guys. Please answer that survey as soon as we go ahead and get it out. I do believe N7, did you put it into the thing here, or am I just straight up sending it out into the...
You're straight out sending it out. So.
All right. Y'all go ahead and get that situated. I'm going to probably post it a few times just so that everybody can, have a chance to do it. But yeah.
There is no deadline. Yeah, I want to stipulate that too. There's no deadline for it. But yeah, when you get a time, definitely fill it out because it will be helpful for us.
Would be very, very helpful so that we can be able to understand how we can move forward so that this show will be better for you guys, because that's really what it's about. It's about all of you guys. So yeah, that would definitely help us out so that we can make the show any better than it already currently is. So again, thank you, Philip, for being on with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. As always, it is your boy, Sun OG5, along with my co-host, N7, and we are out. Thank you very much.